the jaws are very important. If you see the early organism, when they start, become they start eating, or they change from photosynthesis to get energy from other sources. They start to have mouth. So the mouth developed before eyes, before the brain. The mouth developed eventually before sometime even the nervous system. So simple nervous system, there's a mouth. So, and you can see there's a reptile. They have three, and the mandible have three bones, and with evolution from reptile to mammalian, some of these bones went back to the ear and become the malleus and ancus and part of the ear, the inner ear, and the mandible, or in old mammals they call it dentary, become just one bone. And the maxilla is also, it's just the base of a skull. So the evolution of jaws, it starts before evolution of ear, eyes, and even other part of the nervous system. That's why the whole facial structure is to support mastication. Even they can see the zygoma here, and support the bite. The zygomatic arch to protect the TMJ, temporomandibular joint. All these structures to support the mastication and occlusion in general. Even facials. Then, after a while, become the evolution of eyes, ears, and and other stuff. And I've talked about by embryology. Maybe I can give you one lecture about long-term of embryology and how the process of when fertilized eggs start multiplication and become multiple cells, and these cells become flat, and then they migrate toward toward the first thing. Their outside cells will be ectoderm, and the inner side called endoderm, and their cells will go between them. They call them mesoderms, and they will grow and they multiply, and they multiply in different directions. And there was a book recently I was reading about electricity. All these who guide the cell to migrate toward this side. Why these processes? Like this is when the embryos start growing. These are mandibulomaxillary process. They grow together and they meet in the middle. And there is electrical process. There's electrical currents and electrical charge that guide them to meet in the middle. So that's why a new thing. When I was reading about old book, they said cause of cleft and palate is genetics, medication, environmental factor to the mother. This is all embryo inside the mother. So sometimes the mother will take certain medication can affect the growth of the child. And sometimes genetics, if they have certain genes, they have problem with the development of the child. So these processes, when they meet together, usually the process is covered by ectodermal tissue called epithelial tissue whenever, and they meet, the epithelial tissue should disappear and they meet together and diffuse. Sometimes the epithelial tissue stays there and they never meet. And sometimes in case of the cleft palate, the tongue will be inside the mouth. The tongue is too high. When the processes of the early palate, when they try to meet together, the tongue is going to be between them, and they will never let them to fuse, can lead to cleft palate. And sometimes they cannot fuse together normally in the labial processes, can lead to cleft lip. Also, there's seen this book about the relation between facial muscles and the heart. That's very interesting. Maybe I'll send you the article about the relation between facial muscle and the heart. Even maybe one will give you a lecture about embryology. I'll talk about each process. Each arch has its own blood supply, nerve supply, and how they grow together. If there's any disturbance in these processes or something wrong with it, we can lead to congenital defect. And one of the main congenital defect, we, as a prosthodontist or dental lab technician or dentist or maxillofacial prosthesis specialist, is a cleft lip and palate. It's very common, and it's very disfigurant for the early child. So, and it nearly need early treatment and early procedures to save the child or save the family, because the mother would be devastated also. When I was talking about early fish, early animals, they have mouth before they have eyes. Hagfish, they don't have eyes. They have like just light sensoring disc, and they grow, and the mouth will grow, and so the mouth is the center growth of the face and the head and neck. We could discuss that with the embryo.